Hey guys, welcome back to Ranger Survival and Fieldcraft. I'm Andrew. What I have for you today is just a little bit of knife maintenance and what I do in the field and the kit that's worked for me over the years. Now this is the Pathfinder survival knife, and this is kind of a one-tool option, so to speak, or any belt knife or just a large belt knife to have. I typically go with more tools in the field, so I have a hatchet, I'll have a saw of some sort, and maybe even a pocket knife or two, and take those into the field because each tool has a specific function and job, and I would rather use the right tool for the right job. But if we didn't have those, we could still use this to get a lot of things done, even with a mallet like this, or creating our own wedges and wooden tools with a knife like this to get things done. But with this knife, I processed out a beaver and used it to skin the beaver cleanly, and then to process the meat, and even used it to chop through some of the bones with no damage to the blade. All it took was just a little bit of maintenance on the back end to bring it back to sharpening function, or to a nice good sharpened edge to process other game or for woodcraft and future survival purposes. So this tool got it done, and I wanted to show you kind of some of the techniques and the kit that I take. Now a knife like this can be a universal tool. I'm not going to always use this to process out game. What I really prefer for any type of processing of meat or a kill off the field is going to be just a companion mora like this. Thin, very, very sharp, easy to sharpen, and then it's got that good handle that I can keep a grip on it in case that processing turns into a little bit of a messy operation. This is what I usually prefer because it's cheap and easy to throw it in a kit and relatively easy to sharpen and gets the job done. You can use one of these to process out an entire deer without really having to sharpen it if you know what you're doing. And so we want to have a knife that can get the job done. I will say that this thing actually performed very well, not only taking off the animal's hide, but then processing out certain parts of that animal. So here I have the hide. It's frozen right now. I'm going to take this out later on and actually process it out. But the hide is completely off the animal, as well as processing out the caster of that beaver. This knife was able to get in there and get it out nice and easy, and with minimal damage to the actual gland itself, so we can use this for future trapping. If you know what you're doing, you can still process out and do a lot of fine carving and processing tasks, even with a large blade like this. So we want to make sure we keep it sharp so that we can actually do those things. And what I typically carry in the field is going to be just a file, a little bastard file, that's what they call it. And then I'll typically carry a sharpening diamond stone like this, dual-sided, where I have a coarse and then I have a fine. And depending on how used or abused these knives are will determine what I actually do with this diamond rod, to either hone it with the fine side back to a good sharp state, or if I use the coarse side to fix a lot of issues with the knife, if it really got blunted for whatever reason. And that's why I would rather carry a file for just that emergency as well, to use this to go along the blade and file up to remove any burrs or nicks or cuts or rolls, and then get it back to that nice geometrical shape so we can actually sharpen it, and so it'll go back to its functioning state. So this is what I typically carry. Now when I sharpen a knife, what I'll do is I'll typically start with the coarse side if needed. Otherwise I can move right to the fine side. But with the coarse side, I'll take this, find the bevel of the knife, and then make sure it's flat on the stone, and then just slide this knife up, keeping the bevel flat on the diamond rod. I'll do this 8 times. On one side, I'll turn the knife over, and then I'll do it the other direction 8 times on the same side. And then what I'll do is, now that I've done 8 strokes on each side together, I'll wipe this off, usually on my pants, because I'm dirty like that. And then I'll alternate this time, going one stroke and another. And so I'll alternate away and then toward. Obviously never cut toward yourself, but maintain control of the blade. And I'll do that 8 times. And then once I'm done with that, I may test the blade to see if that's enough for just my purposes. So I got some scratch paper here, and that's nice and sharp. So that knife is really sharp as it is, and it may not need much honing on the fine side. We could do a few strokes that way, just to make it a little bit finer. I'm not really worried about it. Typically that coarse side is going to be good enough to get our knife back to that sharpening state. Even after the honing side, you can see it's still very, very sharp. And so it doesn't take much to get a knife like this, or even that Mora Companion, back to a nice sharp state. One other thing I'll do with this though, is that anytime I'm working with tools that have wooden handles, like the walnut here, or the hickory here, is I like to have some sort of conditioning oil, or some sort of protectant oil. And what I'll use is linseed oil typically. Linseed oil is great for wooden tools, and I'll apply a nice liberal coating. And I've had this linseed oil for a hot minute now. I'm glad the lid came off first time. And I'll take this, and you can use a rag. I prefer not to sometimes, just because. So I'll grab some with my finger, and I'll put it over the handle of the knife in a nice liberal coating all over, to make sure it gets all over that handle so we can condition it. And then I'll turn it over without cutting myself and pull some more onto this side. And if necessary, grab a little bit more, do it again. And it's nice and shiny and oily. You can leave it on there for a while, not a huge deal. Or if we have excess, and this is why we clean our tools all at the same time, do our weapons maintenance or our tool maintenance all at the same time, we can apply some of that linseed oil to our hatchet handle. We've got a nice extra amount here, a liberal coating, if you will. Pull some off, apply it to our handle. That way we're not wasting the oil or losing a lot of it. We can share it with our tools. And then once I'm done, I'll typically hang the tools up so the oil can seep into the wood or eventually evaporate and dry off. Or if I want to use it again, I'll grab a rag and I'll just wipe off the excess oil after it's sit for a while, and then go back to work with that tool. Now, another reason I like to use just my hands with linseed oil is that rags, and storing rags improperly after you've soaked them with linseed oil, is sometimes they spontaneously combust, or at least that's what people say. I've never seen that because I don't store dirty rags that way, but I like to just use my hands because it's easier, and that way I can use my rags or cotton cloth for something else. All right, so we use the linseed oil on our handles as a protectant and preservative. We use that diamond rod for honing that blade back into shape. And then we use the file for things like our hatchet head. If we bury that hatchet in the ground because we don't have an anvil in place, or we break through that material we're cutting through, and that bit gets buried in the dirt, hits a rock, we can actually take out that burr or that little glint in the bit with the file and bring it back to a nice, good geometrical shape. We can also use this file for the back of our knife in removing even some of the flesh from the beaver, if there's just little bits on here, or just filing the back of our spine flat, because we're going to use that as a striker for our ferro rod. And it removes a lot of the burrs from the back of the spine anyway, so we can use that with our flint and steel kit. To drive sparks off the back of our knife and use it for a flint and steel fire kit, obviously. And so after that oil sits for a while, I like to remove just a little bit of the excess, a light wipe, and then we're good. And I'll take this blade and I'll leave the rest of the linseed oil on there, and I'll just put it right back in the sheath to help protect it. And then this goes right back on the hip, and we're ready to go. Now with the sheath, we want to protect the sheath, and typically what I do is I'll just use a little bit of mink oil. And this time I'll actually grab a rag, get a little bit on there, and I'll put my fingers in the actual sheath where the knife goes just to hold it a little bit better, and then rub that mink oil all over top. If it's nice and clean. If this has dirt on it, what I'll typically do then is I'll clean off the dirt. You can use some saddle soap to clean the leather and actually add the mink oil or apply it afterwards. And this helps moisturize the leather, helps protect the leather, and keeps it. We want to make sure we get all over as much as possible. We can always wipe off the excess if we use too much, or apply it to our other tools. And this will dry relatively quick, but that oil will get in the leather and help act as a preservative as well. It's important that we know how to maintain our tools and have the right equipment for the right job. And so we can take the rest of that oil and apply it to the sheath of our axe, just to help protect it. Any leftovers will be fine. We could also use some of that beaver fat and even the caster as a little bit of protectant against rust on our blade. So you can put some of that over the blade and help protect it from rust if we're in an area where there's a lot of moisture. But that's all we would do with the sheath. Just again, use that mink oil and a rag this time to apply it. We could use our hands, I guess. And then once we're done with our tools, we've got a nice coat of linseed oil on the handle. Our knife is sharpened and covered to prevent it from rusting, as well as treating that leather to make sure that it stays nice and supple and strong for us. It doesn't wear down or dry out. Our tools are prepared. We can leave this out to dry just a little bit or put it back on our hip and then continue movement, or leave it out overnight just so everything dries out a little bit. All right, cut. But now that we've got a good coat of linseed oil on the handle, the knife is sharp as well as protected from rust, and then we've treated our sheath and taken a look at it to make sure that it doesn't dry out or rot on us. We can put the knife back in. We can leave this sit out at camp overnight while we catch some Z's, and then put this back on our belt and ready for the next day. And typically, maintenance like this isn't going to be required too often, depending on how much or how often we use the knife and the blade. And so we may need to apply a little bit more maintenance more often if we're out for a longer period of time, or if we go out for a weekend or a week or two, we can apply just a little bit of maintenance out in the field and then come back and actually treat the knife and the sheath and bring it back to a nice fine state, and then leave this out to dry on the bench, and then it's ready for us the next time we need it. All right, guys, so that survival knife is exactly what it says it is, a survival knife to process out game, but process out wood with wooden tools, to build shelter, to build other wooden tools that we need for everything that we need out in the wild. But we need to take care of our tools as well. So we got that linseed oil for the handle, got our sharpening kit, that diamond rod, and that bastard file to take care not only of our survival knife, but all of our tools. And then we also have other items to bring with us for various reasons, for firecraft, and that's why we need to maintain our tools, for a flint and steel kit, as well as that 90-degree edge on the spine to give us a striker for our ferro rod. Well, I hope you liked this video, down and dirty video today on knife maintenance, tool maintenance. If you did like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment in the comment section. I always appreciate your feedback. I want to thank you guys for everything you do for me, for this channel, for your likes, your views, your subscriptions, your comments, your feedback, and your shares. And I'll be back with another video as soon as I can, guys. Thanks.